In this video, we'll see how to solve systems using elimination, but we'll have to use multiplication first. Let's see what is this all about. What we need to know is what is a common multiple and how to find it, what are opposites and what they are needed for, and how to create opposites. So first of all, what is a least common multiple? From the past, we used the least common multiple in order to find the common denominator. By definition, the least common multiple of two numbers is the smallest positive integers that is divisible by both numbers. So the multiples of 6 or 8 or any number are the numbers that you multiply to get the next one in order. So 6 times 1 is 6, 6 times 2 is 12, 6 times 3 is 18, 6 times 4 is 24. So the multiples of 6 are 12, 18, 24, including 6. And number 8, 6 times 1 is 8, then 16, then 24, and so on and so on. We can multiply to find the next multiples, but the smallest is the smallest number that can be divided by both. So that's what definition is. Multiple of two numbers in common is the smallest number that is divisible by both. 24 can be divided by 6 and 24 can be divided by 8. Therefore, the least common multiple of 6 and 8 is 24. Opposites are the numbers that add up to 0. So the terms or constants that add up to 0. For example, negative 4x and 4x are opposites because negative 4x plus 4x equals 0. So it's the same kind of a number with different sign. How to create opposites? So let's say in order to add up to 0, they have to have different sign of the same number. So negative 4x plus 4x is 0, or negative 5y plus 5y will be 0, or 3x minus 3x will be 0. So by looking at the terms that I have 4 examples here. I'm going to try to create opposites. We have 2x and 5x. They're definitely not opposites. They add up to 7. 2x plus 5x is 7. So the question will be how to create opposites. And what should I multiply by, because it has to do with multiples. What should I multiply by to create a common multiple of a different sign? In other words, here is the model of thinking. If I have two terms, what can I multiply them by to create opposites? So for opposites, I need different sign, positive and negative, and I need common multiple. Common multiple of 2 and 5 will be 10. So I can create 10x and negative 10x. Question, what should I multiply by 2x to get 10? 2 times 5 is 10. What should I multiply by to get negative 10? 5 times negative 2 will be negative 10. So if I multiply 2 times 5, that's positive 10. If I multiply 5 times negative 2 times negative 10, that will create opposites. We'll have opposites and we could eliminate. Let's see another example. What if I have 3y plus 3y? That adds up to 6y. So that does not add up to 0. I need to create opposites. Opposites have to add up to 0. So what can I multiply by to create opposite sign of the same multiple? Opposite sign of the same multiple. So it means that one of the terms should be positive, one negative, and the multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9. So I can just leave it as 3. So one of them will be positive 3y and the other term will be negative 3y. That would eliminate. Question, what should I multiply 3 to get 3? 1. What should I multiply 3 to get negative 3? Negative 1. So if I multiply 3 times 1, I would get positive 3y. And if I multiply 3 times negative 1, I would get negative 3y. And that will eliminate or add up to 0. What if I have a system and the y values are 1y and negative 3y? That adds up to negative 2y. So the question will be, what could I multiply by to create a positive and a negative, which I already have a positive and a negative, but now I need same multiple or same number. 1 and 3 will be the common multiple 3, so I can create a 3y and a negative 3y. Question, what should I multiply by 1y to get 3y? Times 3. What should I multiply by negative 3 to get negative 3? 1. So 1 times 3 will be positive 3. Negative 3 times 1 will be negative 3. That will be my opposite. That could eliminate. And one more example. What if I have negative 4x and negative 4x? That adds up to negative 8x. I need to add up to 0, so I have to create one term positive and one term negative. So I need to have different signs, not same signs. Same signs, when you add the numbers. So that would be negative 8. So what can I multiply by to create opposites? Negative times negative will be positive, so I could create a positive 4x and a negative 4x. Or I could create a positive 8x and negative 8x. Or I could create a positive 16. But the bigger the numbers that you're creating, the bigger numbers you're going to have to work with in the next steps. So try to find the least common multiple. In other words, the smallest common number. So negative times negative will be positive. In order to create a positive, having a negative, you need to multiply by another negative. If you need a negative and you already have it, multiply by 1. So negative times negative will be positive 4. Negative times positive will be negative 4. That will create opposites and they would eliminate. So let's see how that works in an example. Because what if in the system I have two equations that are in standard form, so they're perfectly lined up, x column, y column, and constant. But by looking at my x column, it does not have opposites. 2x plus 5x equals 7x. That doesn't add up to 0. 4y plus 4y, they're both positive, so that adds up to 8y. That's not a 0. So I cannot eliminate the x and I cannot eliminate the y. So that's when I have to use my multiplying one or both equations by integers to create opposites. So that's when we needed that creation. So you have a few options, and the option that you choose is you who chooses it. So let's say I focus on the first column, and that was my first example here. 2x and 5x can become positive and negative 10x. 2x by multiplying by 5 will become 10x, and 5x by multiplying by negative 2 will become negative 10x. So by having this x column, you could create opposites such as 10x and negative 10x in order to eliminate. Another option would be to look at the y column, and if I look at my y column, right here, just so I can cover the rest and only focus on the y column, I have 4y and 4y, which adds up to 8y. So it's not a 0. I need to create opposites. That could be positive 4y and negative 4y if I multiply the first equation by 1 and the second equation by negative 1. 1 times 4 will be 4, and negative 1 times 4 will be negative 4. That would give me the opposites to eliminate. So now you have to decide, do you want to create 10x and negative 10x, or you want to create 4y and negative 4y? So you need to, by looking at the two columns, decide what you want to create. So let's say I want to create opposites for 4y and negative 4y. That means that I have to multiply the first equation by 1, because 1 times 4 will be 4, and the second equation by negative 1, because that will create a negative 4. When we rewrite the system, after we decide what to multiply by, the whole equation needs to be multiplied by the same number. We're multiplying by 1, doesn't change a thing in the first equation, because 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 4 is 4, and 1 times 0 is 0. But the second equation needs to be multiplied by -1. So in order to create the opposite, negative 4y,
Jose
we
Reyes,
need to
if
multiply.
you're on campus, please come to the front office. Jose Reyes, please come to the front office.
All the terms in the equation have to multiply. So you can't just multiply one term. It has to be all three. So that would be negative 5x minus 4y equals positive 6. Because every negative times positive is negative, negative times positive is negative, and negative times negative is positive. What this did, the multiplication, allowed us to create 4 and negative 4y in order to eliminate, and then we can add the equations in the system and keep solving. So 2 minus 5, that will be negative 3x, 0 plus 6 is 6. Dividing by negative 3, we'll have x value of the solution negative 2. So negative 2 is the x value of the solution. What we can do now is use it in any of the original equations. So pick one of the equations. I'll pick the first one, but you can pick the second one, doesn't matter. And instead of x, now use negative 2. So we substitute what we know and then solve for the other variable, which is going to be solve for y now. Using inverse operations, first we add 4, bring down the 4y, and then divide by 4. The value of y in your solution will be 1. So your solution now has x and y, negative 2, 1. Let's see the next example. We need to decide what to eliminate. So can we eliminate x? 3 plus 2 is 5. No, we can't. Can we eliminate y? 1y minus 4y is negative 3y. No, we can't. So we have to start thinking, okay, I could create here a positive 6x and a negative 6x by multiplying. 3 times 2 will be 6. 2 times negative 3 will be negative 6. So I can create 6 and negative 6. That would eliminate my x value. Or I can eliminate the y value by creating a positive 4y and a negative 4y. So I could multiply the first equation by 4 and the second by 1. So you have already positive and negative sign. So you need now the common multiple. 1 and 4, common multiple is 4. So if I multiply 4 times 1y, that will be 4y, and then 1 times negative 4 will be negative 4. Let's say I focus on the x column this time. So I would want to create 6x and negative 6x. So this is my wish. I multiply 3x times 2. If I multiply 3x times 2, that will be 6x. And I multiply 2x times negative 3. 2x times negative 3 would be negative 6x. So once I have my opposites, this is how I decide what to multiply by. What to multiply by to create opposites. But then you have to multiply every single term by the equation. In the equation, we need to multiply x term and y term and constant by 2. In a second equation, by negative 3. So 2 times 3x is 6x. 2 times 1y would be 2y equals negative 10, because it's 2 times negative 5. Second equation, we multiply by negative 3. So negative 6x plus 12y, and then positive 66. Every single term has to be multiplied by the same number. The opposites will eliminate when we add the equations in the system, and then we keep adding and combining the like terms. 2 plus 12, 14, negative 10 plus 66, 56, divide by 14, and that will be 4, which is the y value of the solution. This y value 4 now can be used in any of the original equations, so first or second, doesn't matter. I'll pick the first one just because I like it. And then instead of y, I'll put 4. That gives me an equation that can be solved for the other variable, which will be x. So minus 4 on both sides using inverse operations. Negative 5 with negative 4 is negative 9. Dividing by 3, inverse operation of multiplication is division. And that gives me the x value of the solution, negative 3. So the negative 3 is in the x place, and 4 is the y value, so it goes in the y place. Solution, negative 3, 4.